Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to give it a minute for everybody to get settled, and then we'll get started with our session. All right. Well, as everyone is trickling in, I want to welcome you all to our info session tonight to discuss our Master of Science in Education and Sport Administration program here with the U. We're thrilled to be able to have you. I know many of you are ending your day with us, so thank you so much for doing that. We're going to be covering a lot of information tonight. We have a fantastic group of panelists here. Current students, alumni. So we're going to cover basically everything you need to know about the program. Before we do that, I do want to introduce myself. My name is Liz Coleman. I'm one of our senior enrollment advisors here with our UOnline team. So excited to be able to welcome you. I do want to cover a few housekeeping items before we dive into our session. To start, again, we understand that your time is very valuable, so we don't want to take up too much of it, but also want to make sure we're covering as much information as we can with you. So this session is going to be about 30 to 45 minutes. Should you need to head out for any reason and you want to go back and rewatch it, you're absolutely welcome to do so. In fact, hopefully by the end of this week or early next week, you will get a recording of this session so that you can go back and catch up on anything you might have missed. Again, we are going to cover a lot of questions today, a lot of content, but we want to make sure that this session is geared for you. So if you have any questions, please be sure to utilize our Q&A feature, and you'll see that at the bottom of your screen. And we do want to make sure that this session is a little bit more geared towards content of the program, career outcomes, experiences, what it's like as a student in the program. So if you have direct admissions related questions in regards to financial aid, the application, different criteria, definitely feel free to reach out to an enrollment advisor. That way we can connect with you on more of an individual basis and make sure we get those questions answered. You'll see our phone number as well as a link to utilize our chat feature. So again, please feel free to utilize that at any time, and we'd love to connect with you. So without further ado, I want to turn it over to our panelists. I'm joined today by Leslie, Iva, Elliot, and Kristen here, all from our program. So guys, thank you all so much for being here today. Leslie, I'll start with you and we'll kind of go down the line. If you would just give maybe a 1 to 2 minute introduction of who you are, what brought you to the U, a little bit more about your background, and then we'll start into the Q&A feature of our session.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure to do these. It's always invigorating and reminds me of my time getting ready to embark on this journey. So I'm Leslie Fitzpatrick, aka Tiger. Was my nickname for a long time, still is, I guess. I'm a native of Trinidad and Tobago. I played soccer professionally for 10 years, went to university in the States. And once I was done, I was looking at, what could separate me from just being pigeonholed as a coach. And, I had a economics background, a political science background, and, obviously wanted to stay involved in sport and be on the executive side of things. And so in my undergrad, I was looking at the U, but they didn't have a men's soccer program. So I'd always known about it. Being in the islands, Miami, it's close, you have family, similar weather. And then, I found this program and it just was a match made in heaven for me. The ability to get down to school, to see a lot of things. And now I am the executive director of a youth soccer club. We just merged 2 soccer clubs in Virginia. I also do some scouting for the MLS, Major League Soccer in the youth department. And I do match directing for the senior pros. Every couple of weeks I go out to do events for the league. I also coach a college team in Toronto. So it's helped me, give me a platform to take my talents into, a whole lot of different spheres. And it's something that I would definitely recommend for anybody that wants to take their career into the next step.
And Iva, I'll turn it over to you.
Hello, my name is Iva. I graduated from NC State in 2016. Didn't know what I really wanted to do, so knew I wanted to be in sports. researched several different programs, selected the Miami UOnline program so I could continue working at NC State. I worked online for about a semester until I actually got offered a position at the university in their athletic department in athletic operations. So I worked there for about 5 years. And during that time, I oversaw all of the athletic home games for all of our sports. So I oversaw and operated those. And in September of 2021, I got offered a position in the president's office with the university. So I've been there for about a year now, working and managing the president's events, as well as working with our trustees and doing any events that they may have.
Perfect. Thank you. And Elliot? Oh, I think you're still on mute.
I got it.
There you go.
Hi, everybody. I'm a military veteran and retired as an officer. I spent over 30 years in the military. So my involvement in sports was usually in the military with my troops. And I've since then done some entrepreneurship and business opportunities in the sports arena. And I'm looking to help the university promote the school because I truly believe in the program and I believe in the school. I love the University of Miami. They've done great things for me. Whether it's in sports or non-sports, what the education that you are about to embark will definitely pay off dividends in all areas, whether it's sports or not. And I can see that from my point of view because I'm currently not full-time in the sports business. I'm full-time at American Airlines as a technical instructor. But I do participate at the amateur level, coaching and mentoring student athletes.
Great. Thank you. And Kristen?
Hey everybody, I'm Kristen Van Eiderstein. I'm the financial coordinator for the football team at Brown University. I graduated from University of Delaware in 2015 with a health behavior science degree, and I at the time was already working in arena football and knew that sports was what I wanted to be doing, you know, staying in football in particular. So made the decision during COVID to go back and get my master's in sports administration and chose Miami because of the alumni. It's such a, you know, well-known football program. The alumni are well-known, and it's a really wide variety of courses offered through this program that I don't think you get at some of the other schools. And so, you know, kind of hopped on the opportunity to do this and, you know, continued my career in football. And I definitely think that this degree is helpful. You're going to learn a lot of different aspects of the sports industry, which I can tell you from being in a couple different aspects of the sports industry, like there's a lot of application, direct application. So really grateful for my time at Miami, and I definitely see it helping with my future career.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And again, thank you all so much for just taking the time out of your busy schedules. I know even before the session, we were talking about how much is on your plate, and with the holiday season, it just makes everything so much busier. And Kristen, I'm sure with football season in full swing, it's just a lot going on. So I appreciate you all, and definitely, you know, want to be courteous to your time. So let's go ahead and dive in. Just for the ease sake, Leslie and Iva, I will direct this question to you. What was it specifically about the University of Miami, but especially the online program, that attracted you to the program? As we all know, there's no shortage of online degrees that you can get. So is there anything specific about the U that drew you in? And what is like some great questions that students can be asking as they're in their current search for a program?
You want me to go?
Go for it.
I got you. I would say, I mean, Kristen kind of touched on it. You know, one is obviously the pedigree of the U. The U speaks for itself in terms of, you know, what you get from a name brand perspective, from an alumni perspective, you know, and I think with all of us, I believe with all of us that are on this, we already were working professionals in some way. And so the online component is what really gave you that ability to balance that and still continue in your career while you were pursuing this level of academia. That was really appealing to me. And then, for sure, 100% the fact that there was no difference in the degree that you were getting online and the degree that you get in person, that was a major selling point for me. When there's no differentiation, the degree, the certificate that you get, the diploma at the end of your graduation is the same one. The faculty, the staff are the same people that teach the in-person classes. And so I was able to actually get onto campus a few times during my 2 years and meet them, and they've been phenomenal, and we've continued to have great relationships. So I would say, just in brief, those things were really, really some of the driving points for me in terms of like going into the U. And when you looked at the program itself and where it was ranked as a master's program, it's a top program in the country. So I knew that coming out with that, the name brand, the alumni base, having something that wasn't just considered an online degree, which, a dime a dozen on. You're seeing what's going on with the government trying to like get back money for people that have put their money into these degrees that don't really mean much. This degree really holds its weight. So it's fantastic.
Yeah, I agree. Everything that Leslie said. I'm very much one to research in depth before I commit to something, especially when it involves money. So I visited several programs in person before trying to decide what to do. A couple of them were, Chapel Hill, Western Carolina, with me being from North Carolina. I was like, well, I'll just stay close to home before I figure out what I want to do. And it was like the easy route. After researching the U and learning that it was a top program, there was so many things that were distinct about this program than a lot of the others that I visited in person and even researched their online degrees. The first would be the connections into sport and the alumni base. So as Leslie mentioned, it's the same people who are teaching the in-person classes that are teaching the online classes. They're real human beings, real professors, and they have some amazing connections. When I transferred from online to in-person and I got to know the professors, I learned how extremely well connected that they are, not only in the world of South Florida sports, but worldwide. We, have gone on a study abroad in London, and what we were able to see, and they knew of the professors, and some of them were even graduates that were working abroad. So it's something that their connection into sport will get you into sport, almost guaranteed. Especially if you put that time and effort into getting to know them. The alumni base is unreal when you're researching people and reading their bios, and you see that they're from the University of Miami. Canes really do care for Canes. Canes love to hire Canes. And I think having that like logo on your chest, it's something that you're very proud of, and that when others see that, they want to hire you because they know you have that connection. Also, the trustees that are involved in the university, the fan base that, it's global. They've talked about it a few times, but this logo is international. It's actually recorded to be the second most recognized logo behind the Yankees. So when you have that, that pronounced brand, people recognize it, people know it, and you want to be a part of it. And especially with the business of sports, especially with, the NIL platform, everything that's happening, the UM is in every discussion that's going on, especially with our AD hire, the coaching change, everything like that, the hype around it. These professors are in the know on all of that, and they have that connection with not only our athletic department personally, but others as well. And that was something that is unmatched to a lot of other programs that I've researched.
Great, thank you. And speaking of logos on your chest, Elliot, I think we would be doing a disservice if we did not show. There we go. Perfect timing. Great. And then Elliot and Kristen, I want to get to a question to you, but real quick, we actually had a question come in through the Q&A feature asking about cost and credit hours for the masters. I will say we actually offer guaranteed, we call it tuition waivers, but it's just our version of a scholarship. So that is going to be gifted to you with acceptance into the program, but it does vary depending on your GPA and your work experience. So definitely be sure to connect with an enrollment advisor. That way we can give you that full cost breakdown even before you're admitted into the program or we submit you for a decision. You'll know exactly what you can expect financially just to help, cross that off your list, going over financial aid options. And then in regards to hours of the program, it's 30 credit hours or 10 courses. And we'll dive into the structure of the program in just a second. But again, be sure to utilize that Q&A feature. It's an awesome opportunity to make sure that we can get these questions in front of this fantastic group of panelists. But Ellie and Kristen, going to you guys, let's talk about a big concern that people have. I hear often, which is a very valid concern, is when is the right timing to pursue a degree, especially if we're thinking back the past, 2 to 3 years. And Kristen, you started this right during a pandemic. What advice would you give to these students who are considering a program with the thought of, is this the right timing? I don't know. Do I jump into it? Especially with your involvement in the industry. What was it that helped you to say, you know what, I'm ready to take this next step? And what was it that helped secure that thought? But
Would you
either
like
of
me
you
to?
can start.
Oh,
Yeah, go
okay,
ahead, Elliot.
sure. So first off, congratulations on the prospective students that are seeking to improve their level of education and make themselves stand out from the rest of the pack. I think what you're doing is probably the right thing. You know why you're actually tuning in is because you believe the timing is right. And the timing is right because you know it. It can be anywhere in your career. It could be shortly after graduating from your four-year school. It could be later on in life, as it happened with me. I was just looking for a fallback. I've been in aviation and military aviation almost my entire life, living life, and I'm just looking to do some different things. So there never really is a bad time. Now, the question is, why are you doing this? Are you doing this to gain a better understanding of the sports industry? Or are you looking to gain the networking opportunities that come out of this graduate program? I think both of those are what you're going to get out of this program. The networking opportunity is tremendous. The alumni base is tremendous. It's vast. In fact, I met with the alumni group in the DFW Fort Worth location this past weekend, and it was great networking with those folks. And there were people from the sports industry, people from banking, music, all types of walks of life. So the networking opportunity is outstanding when you go to school, to university. And there's events throughout the year that you could participate virtual or in person, such as the Global Law Conference, Law and Entertainment Conference. There's also the Global Sports Conference. Now, I'm a South Florida person, so for me, it's convenient to attend. I block out my calendar and I participate in those events, and I gain a lot of knowledge and network with a lot of interesting people. So I think the timing is right. Just the fact that you're tuning in.
Very well said.
So I think my answer is predominantly from a sports perspective and a sports career perspective. But my initial decision was really, frankly, from COVID, having free time, a little bit more free time than usual. Wanting to hop on getting a master's degree, because when I look at the competition, I can say, for career, being a female in football is kind of putting me a step back as it is. So how can I kind of put myself ahead if possible? And my first thought was a master's degree to get myself on the same playing level as some of the other individuals looking to be in this career path. So much so that I actually started a second master's degree now. So I've really lost my mind. But yeah, so I think when it comes to sports, any leg up you can get is going to be beneficial, because there's a lot of people that want to work in sports. There's a lot of different aspects of sports, but there's still, I mean, if you think about the NFL, there's 32 teams. So there's only going to be so many employees at each of these 32 teams. And think about how many people are graduating from undergrad or just working in the workforce right now. I mean, the competition's stiff. So for me, it was just knowing the career path, the trajectory I want to have for myself, that the master's degree was almost non-negotiable. And I just was able to hop on it with, COVID giving me a little bit more free time. But I can say, working through this program while in season, and now even the master's degree I'm doing now, it's doable. So it's not a matter of, do I have the time to do it? It's, do I want to do it?
Mhm. Fantastic. Thank you both. Now it looks like we have another question. So I will actually direct this one to both Iva and Leslie, asking what kind of careers come out of this master's program? Can you guys discuss just various career outcomes? I know just having all four of you, you're all doing something different, maybe not even directly in the industry, but there's so much that you can do, and especially given how broad the program is. Can you speak a little bit more into this?
Yeah, I guess the best way to really let you know is just the diversity of the curriculum, right? The curriculums, you have sport law, you have finance, you have your marketing, advertising. There's all these different courses that you'll go through, and within each of them, it gives you a pathway into whatever field within the sport industry you want to. And as Elliot said, it doesn't necessarily only translate to sport. Like you take these classes and you come out with such a vast understanding of finance or law or business or whatever it is, that you can take that now and kind of put it into wherever you see yourself. And I think that's one of the beauties of the program. I knew that I was soccer, I was like, soccer is my life, or whatever it is. But with this now, I can go into any sport, any sport that there is, basketball or football or any of it, and it will translate. So that's why, Kristen would have done the degree and gone into football, and it translates. I did it. I could go into soccer. I could go into an admin role. I can go, probably anything except coaching, but that's what I use my playing career for. But anything except the coaching side of it, you touch on all of those points while you're in the master's program, that allows you now that leverage to say, okay, I want to, really focus on a marketing career. And the professors, going back to what I was saying, the professors are so well connected and integrated into each of their own niche markets, that they can get you that foot into the door. And of course, you're still going to have to do the work and prove yourself and all of that, but they give you the best platform to be able to do that.
And echoing everything Leslie just said, and I think what's very unique about these professors and with this is the mass variety of level, right? Like you have all these sports, but then you have youth sport. And if you want to go in and you want to specialize in Parks and Rec, or you want to go in and specialize in high school sport, college sport, professional, league, in the NFL, if you just want to do specialty events with a Super Bowl, or whatever tournament or whatever is happening, you can specialize in that. They have the Olympics. There's just so many different levels within each sport that you can also, they're always hiring. So I think there's so many jobs. It's a matter of what area do you want to go into and what level, especially if you want to go into sport. But I agree, it's very much transferable across very, very different career paths.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, that's definitely something that I appreciate about the program, is just the diversity of it. And I know a lot of people ask me, do you have to have a bachelor's in either sport administration or sports management to be considered? And no, not at all. In fact, I would say that probably 60 to 70% don't, but they have that passion and they have a desire to get into the industry. So if you're, attending and you don't have that background, but you have the passion, you want to get into the industry, definitely, start that application. take the next step. Okay, so going back to Kristen and Elliot, for you guys, let's talk about the flexibility of the program. Obviously, most of the students in our program typically tend to be full-time working adults, very busy schedules, as you all are experiencing now. What does it look like on a day-to-day or a week-to-week basis in regards to juggling that coursework, and just kind of what does the online classroom look like?
Okay, I'll jump into that. Well, for me, I was traveling throughout the world when I went on the endeavor of becoming a graduate student at the University of Miami. So for me, it was, my campus was worldwide, and I was doing a lot of work in Latin America. So I was between Miami and deep South America, Brazil, Argentina, Chile, and I took my books with me every time I went. So I found that there was a very predictable schedule and with weekly deliverables that we had to meet. For example, we had some weekly deliverables on Tuesday, we had some on Thursday, we occasionally had a quiz on a Friday, and usually an exam on Saturday. So I would basically block out those hours when I knew I had to have something in by 11 at night or midnight, by the deadline. But the fact that I could take my work with me wherever I was tremendous. And nowadays you don't even need to carry books. You could just have online books. But I was old school, so I carried these books wherever I went. And once you start the first class and you're into like week 2 or 3, you will figure out that rhythm. You will understand that you have this schedule to meet, and just stay on track, and everything will work out just fine. And then from that point on, every class will be the same exact predictable schedule. So very flexible, very easy to work with. The support structure behind the scenes is available as well. The professors have office hours where you can reach them. The university has support staff where you can reach them. So you're really not alone, even though you might be in a worldwide location on the other side of the globe doing your work.
Yeah, to go off of what Elliot said, the professors pretty much tended to have a routine. So based on which professor you had, you knew what was going to be due when, which meant balancing with work was pretty manageable. I'd say like the trickiest thing is if you had a partner or you were doing a group project and somebody was on the opposite side of the country and you had time zones, but like outside of that, the workload is definitely manageable. I also really liked that they put out the whole syllabus, all the readings and all the homework for the whole 7.5 weeks, 7 weeks. So that if you did have time to get ahead on something or get ahead on the reading for next week, you could. That just made a huge difference for me that, if I knew I had a game coming up and I knew there was going to be a couple of days leading up to it, I wasn't going to be able to get any homework done. I can lean back on the fact that maybe I already did that work because I had completed it the week before. So some of that was really helpful. And yeah, I mean, the professors were great. Everybody was super flexible. If there was a deadline that wasn't working for me, or, I mean, they understood I work in sports and this is all about sports. So they understood when I had things get in the way. I remember even in my very first class, like we were talking so heavily about the employer I was working at the time. And there was like assignments that because I had signed an NDA, I wasn't allowed to talk about. So then we just turned some of the assignments and it was able to, everything worked out. But the professors are super flexible. The workload is super manageable. I really enjoyed it.
Good. Yeah, that's definitely very encouraging. I know a lot of students have that concern of is this going to be too much? Is it going to be like a full-time job on top of my current full-time job, plus being a parent, all of the things. But our program is specifically designed with the full-time working adult in mind. Is it going to be difficult? Yes, it is a graduate degree. It is the same degree that's offered on campus. It's the same faculty that, teach those courses. So it is going to be challenging. but it's manageable. Like Kristen said, it's very much doable. And then going off of what Elliot said, time management is going to be key. So make sure first day of classes, you're setting that expectation for yourself just to keep yourself on that, strong platform moving forward. Looks like we have another question about how long the program lasts. So by design, it is a 20-month-long program. It's going to consist of 10 courses. So it's going to be 7 weeks on, 1 week off, and then you would pick up your next course. That way it's just a little bit more flexible for you to manage. So great question, and definitely keep those questions coming. And if you have any questions regarding what it's like as a student, any tips that they may suggest, be sure to ask those. We definitely want to take advantage of this opportunity. Going back to Ivan, Leslie, I know you mentioned a little bit earlier about Canes want to hire Canes, the alumni network is strong. I think a lot of times there's this negative stigma about online education that you just show up, you submit your assignments, and then you leave, and there's not a lot of networking. And as we all know, sports and the industry requires major networking to get your foot in the door. So can you both just share a little bit more about what it looks like from a networking perspective within the online classroom, and then now as an alumni, how that has carried over within those connections that you've made?
I can start. So I actually, even though I was only online for a little bit of time and then transferred into the in-person, I still get the UOnline emails. So I still am aware of when there are alumni events happening. And they have webinars and everything like that I can hop on and learn and hear from another Cane of what they've got going on and what they're involved with. So I can either, if they're in my area, I can reach out to them and we can get together, or I can just keep a relationship online with that. But they are doing a great job of, the alumni program in general is doing a great job about trying to keep everyone intertwined. I know Elliot had mentioned that he was just at an event this past weekend. And I think that's crucial for a lot of this stuff, whether you did it online or that you did it in person. Like, you have a degree from the University of Miami. It doesn't say on your degree, like with an asterisk, like, but this was done online. It just says, that you have a degree from the University of Miami. And when you go and apply for a job, or you have your resume, or you're just in a conversation, you still went to the University of Miami. You may not have ever stepped foot on campus. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't, but in that same point of time, your degree says University of Miami. So I think that negative connotation, especially now where we are with the world, and people are working remote, there's just so much online that I hope that stigma has gone down a little bit, because it needs to, because you're doing the same amount of work with the same people. So, I think that this university is just so strong with sports, and a lot of graduates that have come from here. When we even have some coaches, I know Leslie was talking about coaching, we do have some coaches that are, sport administration alums. So I think, as long as you put in that effort to get that alumni base, you will, they're out there. It's just, finding them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll echo that. For me, it's like I said, I was in almost like a niche market with soccer, and I had a lot of my own network. And I had my network from undergrad with Columbia and all of that. But then you come into this and you start to see layers of where that alumni network branches off with Yeah, like right now, I'm still working on a project with one of the professors, Dr. Ty Martin, on something specific that has nothing to do with what we did in undergrad. And then he would introduce me to a kid who's just graduated now, who wants to get into a field that I might know. Or a few weeks ago, I'm in Blacksburg, Virginia, where Virginia Tech is, and University of Miami comes up to play them in football. And then there's a bunch of alum in the stadium, and you're like, I'm wearing my almost dying because I have all these hokey people trying to kill me because they know I'm from the area, but I'm wearing like my hurricane colors and stuff. But the network's amazing, and you get, from the sport conference, from certain things that have gone on, you start to realize just how vast a network it is, just how, it goes from 1 degree to 2 degrees of separation, and you're probably running into an alum who can influence your life and influence your career. And it's like I said, it's something that's spectacular to witness, because as Ivor pointed out, nobody's looking at you as, oh, this person was an online graduate. They're looking at you as a you know, as a U of M alum. And no matter what, that degree says, I have a master's from the University of Miami. That's as powerful as it gets, you know. And so I take that when I go into an interview or into anything, nobody's asking me, oh, did you do it online or not? You know, they just say, oh yeah, you have a master's degree. That's fantastic, because people don't expect it, especially after being a professional athlete. They're like, oh, and you have a master's degree. So that like takes you into that next stratosphere when you're in those conversations. You know, and just on that last thing, in terms of the world and where we are right now, I think COVID has actually made it so much better with the perception of an online degree, because everything is virtual now. You know, like we used to have meetings and I would have to go into Richmond 3 hours away for a 2-hour meeting. So I'm doing a 6-hour round trip in a car for a 2-hour meeting. That's out the door now. We're all on Zoom. We're talking to you guys all over the world on Zoom. Like, so the whole online thing is just, it just makes sense, you know. And so to get your degree that way just makes sense. And so I think it's, you know, it's a perfect way to be able to merge having a career, getting an unbelievable academic experience, and still having that ability to have a personalized relationships with the professors and with, you know, the other students in class. Like I've met so many of the guys that I graduated with, and the girls I've graduated with, we've met off campus, like, you know, maybe 5 or 6 times in the time since we've graduated, even though 99% of what we did until maybe our graduation day was all this. It's just meeting each other virtually.
Mm-hmm. No, that's good. And I believe I've mentioned this in a past info session, but during one of my first events working at the U, you know, I came from South Carolina, and so I had no idea how big the brand was until I got here. And it truly is all about the U, not just in South Florida, but all across the US. You know, everyone recognizes that logo. And even though it was 100% online, when I saw the students interacting with each other, you would have never known that it was online, just because of that family dynamic, how tight you get, you know, being a part of the program. So I appreciate you sharing that. And I know we are down to our final minutes. I want to ask one last question. Before we do that, we do just want to reiterate that it is one class at a time. So it comes out to 2 courses a semester. And of course, if you have any additional questions about that, be sure to connect with an enrollment advisor. But last question. Oh, obviously, everyone who's attending is considering this program compared to different programs. They've got so many questions. Is there any advice that you would give them during this search? Is there a highlight that you have, a favorite course, anything that you may feel led to share with this group of students? And this is open to anyone who feels led to share.
I can go.
Great.
So I think in terms of helping with this search, if there's a specific industry or there's a specific path you're looking to go down, make sure your program offers it. So, you know, if you're someone that is currently in marketing or looking to get into marketing, make sure you find a program that at least has one class that's marketing related, because especially if you're going in with a direct focus, you know, you're not going to necessarily want to waste a lot of brain power on a bunch of classes that have nothing to do with what you're looking to accomplish. I can say from my personal perspective, I loved the sports law class so much. That was my favorite class of the 10, that I'm now getting a master's in legal studies with a sports law concentration. So,
Great.
you know, there's pieces to this that, you know, maybe I didn't think that there would be more law in my life, in my career, but because of how great that class was, because I enjoyed the material so much, I'm able to now shift the career focus I have. I'm getting the second degree because of it. So make sure you're finding what you want to be doing within the program. Also make sure you fully understand, you know, the time that it's going to take to do this. Each program is going to require a different amount of time based on what the classes entail. So ask a lot of questions, dive deeper into, you know, are they asynchronous? Are they synchronous programs? Do you have to be live on a Zoom call with a professor, or are you able to just learn as you go? Because if you have a crazy busy schedule, you may not be able to make Zoom times with a professor. So, I mean, there's a lot of pieces to it, but I would say make sure you really know what you're looking to get out of the program, whether it's a specific class or if you have a goal in mind at the end, and see how, sorry for all the background noise. Make sure you have like a program that's willing to tailor to what you're looking for.
Great advice. Thank you.
And I can kind of go off of that. Even if you don't know, make sure you find a program that has a wide variety of options, because they need to go into depth of everything that's going on. So if you don't know if you want to do marketing, then make sure you have a class that has marketing. But if you know, the sport law class was, I absolutely love that class also. But then, you know, even events and facilities, there's even like a sports psych, there's like leadership and ethics. There's just so many of a diverse platform that if you don't know what you're doing, make sure that that program has just as much as a diversity as this program does. And my one piece of advice is, it is what you make it. Right. So whatever you put in, you need to make sure that you're going above and beyond, and make this a priority. The professors, yes, they're extremely well connected, but if they don't know you, they're not going to recommend you. So you need to make sure that you're creating relationships with not only those classmates that also want to be sport professionals, but you're also making relationships with the professors. So put in your work with the classwork and the homework assignments and the readings, but then also make sure you're also getting that social interaction, even though it's online, but you're putting that effort in towards knowing your professors, knowing your classmates, you know, going towards the alumni if you have any questions or see someone in a profession that you want to go into. It's important to have that connection, because you can definitely get that interaction even with it being online as you can in person.
Yeah, I'll jump in quickly. I would, kind of echo that in terms of a jack of all trades, and you could still be a master of one or two or three, and I've had that, because in my role as an executive director or GM or whatever, I can honestly say that every single aspect of every course I've had to use. I've had to use something in facilities. I've had to use in sponsorships. I've had to use in marketing. I've had to use in law. I've had to use every single thing that we've done. And I didn't have a great understanding of it. Finance, for sure, budgets, like all of that stuff. I've been able to take some segment of every course that we've done and tailor it to what I'm doing. So my role is a more general role, as opposed to, like Kristen saying, if you want to go into a field, then you will get that exposure in that field based on the diversity of what's offered. So, I think, a lot of kids, especially younger ones, you don't know where you want to go. So, you might come out of it having a better idea. Like Kristen did, you have a better idea. Some people might come out and still have this like, oh, well, I have a greater platform to be able to present myself. But the last thing I'll tell you too, and it goes to what I was saying, you get what you put in, you apply yourself. Online's tough because you have to be very disciplined in terms of your time management and stuff. And I think it creates so much human skills that you're going to need going into any work environment, because now the onus is on you. And I remember undergrad, probably one, because I didn't have to pay for it, and two, because it was undergrad and we're partying all the time and stuff. I cared about my grades. Yeah, it was, I had good grades. I had, Dean's List. But in this one, I went in and I knew I was paying, and I was like, I had a goal to have a 4.0. Every class I was like, I want to have an A. I want to have an A. I was more competitive than I've ever been. And you're really competing with yourself. Now you're not really competing against the other students, and we all kind of banded together to help each other. And I think that's the beauty of what you're doing when you get to your master's as well. Sometimes it's competing against other people. In this, you're really competing with yourself, because you know what you want to create from this and what you want to get out of it. And so I think that's one of the key things, is when you go in, know that you're going to get what you put out. And if you make those personal relationships with the professors, they'll introduce you to people like us. You're free to, get our information, I'm sure, all of us, and we'll always help along the way.
Yeah, I'll just add one more item that was not covered. The degree will be a master's in science in education. So when you have a degree that's an MsEd, that opens up a lot of other opportunities as well. So you can go into teaching. The fact that you have an MsEd, you can go into sports And at the interview, tell them the kind of classes you took, that you were a sports management major. So I think this degree, the fact that you have the MsEd title, helps open up other opportunities as well. And then again, you know, you have the economics classes, the finance classes, the sports law, the ethical decision making. That opens up other tracks that you can do. So I think this degree was well thought out, well instructed, and gives the students so many opportunities wherever they may choose to go.
That is wonderful. Well, thank you all again so much for being here and for all the information that you shared tonight. It was so much great content, and I hope that those who are watching now and those who are watch later are able to really get a better sense of what they can expect from the program. And so we did have one question I want to address just real quick, asking how to get close with professors given that it is online. And the best suggestion, I know I've mentioned this earlier, to get to know them. Like, they will offer you an opportunity with office hours. A lot of times they give out their personal cell phone numbers. So you are going to have plenty of opportunities to connect with your faculty if you choose to show up. So first day of classes, you need to take that effort to get to know them, because they want to know you. They want to invest in you. And that is something that helps set the U apart, is those small classes, the intentionality that you do get in the program. I know we still have questions coming in. I'm so sorry we don't have time to get to those today, but again, let us know what your questions are. You can email us, chat. You can just go to our website, get connected with an enrollment advisor. And then of course, if you submit an inquiry form, we'll be able to work with you individually. As a reminder, our application deadline, the early deadline, is Monday. So make sure you're getting your applications in. It is free to apply, so you don't have to worry about any type of application fee. And as our gift to you, we do want to reward you with our $300 deposit waiver code. That way it's one less thing you have to worry about. The holiday season is expensive. We do not want anything to stand in the way of you starting the program this spring if this is your desired start time. Again, Elliot, Leslie, Iva, and Kristen, thank you all so much for taking your time to speak with us today. Attendees, thank you for joining us as well. We hope to see your applications and hope you'll join the program soon. So with that being said, I hope everyone has a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Absolutely.